Hey there and welcome back to day number 2 of the March Mayhem tournament, brought to you by Rattlebox Games' Game Fight Show.
Game Fight Show.
Oh boy, it started hot and it's not getting any cooler here. We've got another 2 pairs of games coming up against each other that are going to keep you on the edge of your seat.
I'm already on the edge of my seat. I can't get more edger.
Goodness gracious. Who's making that pun other than Brendan, the Professor Riley, here with me, Rob Huber, your hosts through this exciting tournament. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're going to be bringing you the hot heat, and you're going to be voting to see which games come out on top.
I'm excited to be back, Rob. Monday was such an exciting matchup, and today looks like it's only going to get hotter. It's really nice because then I don't have to shovel. All this heat is melting the snow outside my house.
No doubt. So here we are. We've got, in our first 2 games, we've got Everdell coming up against Twilight Struggle.
This is a barn burner of a
Well,
matchup.
It's not only a barn burner, it's a bit of a brain burner. Those games, if you asked me what is the opposite of a quack of Quedlinburg, I would probably just, without even thinking, I would say it's Twilight Struggle. If you asked me, visually speaking, what's the opposite of a Twilight Imperium? It could be an Everdell. So these games that we've got coming up against each other today, it's going to be some work for our judges here, for the voting public here.
It is. The hardest part for our voters is this mismatch, trying to figure out how do you compare, apples and anthropomorphic oranges. I think Everdell and Twilight Struggle is a really interesting matchup because both of these games, in their own way, are card-driven. Mm-hmm. Twilight Struggle is described as a card-driven game, and people who use that term with regard to war games would not appreciate us applying that term to Everdell.
No.
But anybody who's played Everdell, you get these 2 measly workers, and you say to yourself, how the heck am I going to do anything? I got 2 workers? What?
Yeah.
Then you
keep wanting more.
Yeah. And then you get these cards and you're like, well, maybe I could play 1 card, and wait, that 1 card. Oh, that gets you some more resources. And then those resources get you another card that lets you get another card, and you draw some more cards. And then finally, pretty soon you're, by round 3, you have 4 workers, and it feels like you've got 1,000 because you've got all these cards and they're triggering off each other, and resources are piling up, and you have little forest creatures, and you're looking over at your opponent and they're building out their forest creatures. I have not played another game, I don't think, that has a bigger bait and switch than Everdell. When you first sit down to play it, and you have these 2 workers and just a couple cards and no resources, you start with nothing.
Oh yeah,
and the person teaching you the game says you're limited to playing 15 cards.
Yes.
And you're like, wait, what? What do you mean? Who cares? I'm never going to hit that. And then, you're starting round 4, the last round of the game, and you only have 1 spot left in your tableau. And you're like, wait, how do I get rid of some of these cards?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
It's beautiful.
Well, that's the thing. When you build an engine builder well, it just shows you, how exciting it can be. You really do go from, like you're saying, 0 to 100 in this game. And that's without, so we've talked about some of the gameplay experience. This game, I think it would have sold incredibly well, even if it didn't play well, because this game is striking. The art, beautiful. And the way that they take this into the 3rd dimension with that sort of tree board is incredible.
Yeah, no kidding. Even if you don't get the deluxe edition, just the base edition game comes with all of these nice little bits. Then if you go for the deluxe edition, you get all sorts of little fancy things. The game just looks beautiful on the table. It's really attractive. People who don't generally like to play heavy economic games, which really this is an economic engine builder. People don't like to play that. They're like, wait, I get to put out squirrels tending shops and marmots opening bakeries, and I don't think that's really in there, but you get my point.
It should be. Maybe it's not yet. I'm sure they're listening and they're going to add it. Yeah, the gang over at Starling Games really did a beautiful job bringing this to life. No small thanks to Andrew Bosley, Cody Jones, Dan May, who are the artistic team behind this beauty. I think what you're describing there, this is a little bit of what happens with Root. Same thing. Lovely art, beautiful to look at, unassuming forest animals, but they get you into playing, what in both of these cases are pretty heavy duty games. These animals are not being nice to each other in Root. But here, this is a cutthroat economic engine that are sort of, you're building to grind up against the engine of the player to your left.
Yeah, the worker placement spots are pretty tight. I really need the 3 wood and you take it. Oh, brutal. And then you have you have five or 8 cards in your hand, but then there's that shared market. And if you're building your plan around building that clock tower in the market and then someone else snags it out of there, it's mean.
Oh, don't drive to play this game with someone else you're playing against, because it might be a quiet ride home as you fume. So you're talking about give and take. You're talking about to and fro. That sounds like you're talking about Twilight Struggle.
It does indeed. Twilight Struggle is a card-driven game. When war gamers talk about that, Twilight Struggle is the one they hold up. This was the big daddy on top of the hill for a long time. When I started looking at Board Game Geek, Twilight Struggle was the game in the #1 spot, and it was there for a long time.
Oh boy, it was there for a long time. It's hard to believe that this game has been with us for 16 years, but it has, and it's been performing. I mean, Twilight Struggle is still at 24 after 16 years.
And you know what's even crazier? Twilight Struggle is still number 24, even though it looks like a print and play from a magazine in the 1980s. I am sorry, GMT.
I do think I saw that artwork in the back of an old Dragon magazine from 1983.
Sorry, GMT. I know that you put focus on gameplay, and there are no end to the people who will testify to the genius of Ananda Gupta and Jason Matthews.
I'm not here to tell you that those two aren't geniuses.
That's right, but boy, this game is ugly. I bet that they could get a whole new group of people to play this game if they would just release a new version with nice art.
I wonder if, let's send them a letter and just tell them, for the 20th anniversary, guys, just come on. We're going to do a 20th anniversary edition. You got a couple of years. Tighten that art right up. Yeah. I bet there are a couple corners they could shave off. If after 15 years, I bet they've got some insights into things that they'd like to rebalance a teeny bit. But I think that you could give this game a whole new life and see it shoot way up on the scoreboard here if you did just put a little work into that art. Luckily, it's got Food Chain Magnate out there making it look good. But well, this is a case where it might be showing its age.
Well, the thing that's not showing its age, though, is the genius card play at the heart of Twilight Struggle. I was talking about in Everdell how the real crux of the matter is that you only get to play 15 cards. So you have to be very judicious. You have to build your engine. You have to get it going. But you really got to be picky. You got to know when to pivot into the point-scoring cards. In Twilight Struggle, those decisions are on a knife edge. Every card I get, it either helps me or it helps you. And if I play it in a way that gives me the sort of points, then you get to do the cool action that's on it. So I don't want you to have that action, but it's vicious. It is vicious to have to choose. And then
it's one of the, that's actually something I want to talk about a little bit here. And, this is, as as everyone knows, you and I are completely objective. We're just here bringing the information. You people out there are the ones who are making decisions when you go over to our Twitter at GameFight Show, and you vote. But I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite game mechanics there is I gave you the thing that you used to beat me because it hurts so good.
Yes, indeed. Reminds me, it's like Quarto on steroids.
No doubt. Porto, great game if you haven't played it, listeners. Seek it out. Fun game, but brutal. Speaking of brutal, have you ever sat down for a nice 12-hour session of Twilight Imperium?
Have you ever strapped on a Bleacher Buddy so you won't miss one moment of negotiation during those 12 hours?
Oh boy. We've got, this is another, it's really a hallmark of this year's bracket is these diametrically opposed games. Quacks of Quedlinburg up against Twilight Imperium 4.
Yeah, I don't know if you could come up with a more diametrically opposed pair of games, Rob.
No.
These are...
Yeah. This is that. It's just about the epitome of the diametrically opposed pairing. These are night and day. These are good and evil. This is the light side and the dark side. It's all rolled up into one wonton wrapper, dumped into the deep fryer, and served up for your enjoyment. We have the Quacks of Quedlinburg up against Twilight Imperium 4. Twilight Imperium 4, I was really sad to see this year that Battlestar Galactica did not make it to the bracket, but, it's out of print. That doesn't help, but it's nice to see our friend Corey Konetska as one of the 3 designers on Twilight Imperium 4. And boy, going from Twilight Imperium 3 up to Twilight Imperium 4, they did some beautiful work. I was talking before about some of the things that you might notice about your game over time when we were talking about Twilight Struggle, which has been out there for a long time. Well, Twilight Imperium 4, they saw those issues and they addressed them. That's one of the beautiful things about this game. They're always willing to steal something from another game if it's in service of making their game better, and they keep doing that.
I couldn't agree more, Rob, and I think there's a reason that Fantasy Flight has a long history of cultivating deep affection for games, and Twilight Imperium 4 is the latest version of this game that has had so much love. It is an experience game. It's one of these games where even people who play it a lot might just play it once or twice a year, but it's, they plan the weekend for it. They prepare, they all pick their factions ahead of time. They show up. It is the epitome of the 4X game. There's negotiation, there's explosion. The one place that I would say we can see an overlap with the competitor is there's a bit of push your luck in that I'm going to get my military ready. I'm going to try to go for that planet. If you go for it at the same time, we're going to have words. But there's a little bit of an element of that, but it's just a little bit of the much larger stew that is Twilight Imperium 4.
No doubt. Well, and then, so, you talk about going over to our friends over there at Quacks of Quedlinburg. Game came out in 2018, Twilight Imperium 4, just a year before that. But Quacks of Quedlinburg, it's up there sitting at number 8 on the ranks. I think that 2020 was a huge year for this game. I think it kind of came out as a bit of a sleeper.
I think the game hobby this year, the community has taken some time and really looked at what does it mean to have a game that you can play with people who aren't gamers. I think a lot of people find themselves not only enjoying the games that they've always liked through the sort of mediums of a tabletop simulator or whatnot, but we also started playing games with people who maybe weren't playing games with us as much, spouses and children who maybe we were playing some more general or lighter games, but now that we are stuck at home or they are our primary game partners, we're showing them some deeper games, and something like Quacks is a nice bridge into those more elaborate times. Plus it's fun to say Quacks of Quedlinburg. Come on.
It pays off in so many different ways there. I'm going to have to do a little meta-analysis here. Maybe I'll do it right here. I think this could be the greatest spread in the weight of 2 games that are coming up against each other on the bracket. Because Quacks of Quedlinburg, like you're saying, it's a great game. It's a hobby gamer game, but it's not a punishing game to teach. It's not a punishing game to learn. It doesn't take forever to play. Being dyed-in-the-wool, old-school gamer doesn't give you that much of an advantage over the new player. It's got so much going for it.
Indeed.
As can be attested. They've already gone to the big box, which, how long did it take Carcassonne to get into the big box? It took them a long time. Quacks, not even 3 years, and they were already doing the big box.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the popularity of this game. It was a sleeper here in the U.S., but I think it was nominated for the Spiel the year it came out. It may have won it, actually.
I believe it did. This is one of our games that's coming to us over there from the Elite 8.
With that pedigree, it certainly would have seen a lot of sales in Germany. And I remember the year that it was at Essen, there was a lot of buzz about it because of its uniqueness, its accessibility, and frankly, because it was fun to say. I distinctly remember a friend of the show, Bryce Journey, over on the Out of the Dust podcast, when he was playing that game a lot. He really enjoyed, I suspect he really enjoyed playing it because he got to say, "Der Quacksalber von Quedlinburg."
Oh, it's fun to talk German.
Let's not forget Wolfgang Warsch. This designer, he's been around for a while, but he kind of came into his own in 2018, not only with Quacks of Quedlinburg, but also a roll and write game called Ganz Schön Clever, That's Pretty Clever is the US title for it.
It's not fair to stop there. My man brought us Wavelength.
No kidding.
The mind. This guy is tuned in to what's going on. He's on an impressive roll. Yeah.
The big question, though, is that roll impressive enough to roll over the Space Lions in Twilight Imperium 4?
There's only one way that we're going to find out that, and that's if you, the good listener, go over to our Twitter at GameFightShow.
GameFightShow.
You vote. And you vote. You know, Brendan, I'd like to talk more about these games. But if we do, I might explode with excitement. So I think it's time for us to just turn over to Elanor and have her let us know what the results are from the first 2 sets of matches here in the tournament.
Oh, I can't wait!
I can't wait! Elanor, put us out of our misery.
Elanor here with your results. Monday's 4 tough bouts ended with 2 big winners and a lot of sad fans as the crew search for Planet 9 eked out a win against Betrayal in an exciting match that was so close it was decided in overtime. Meanwhile, Brass Birmingham had Great Western Trail singing Get Along Little Doggy as a result of Brass's decisive win. Back to you, Robin Brendan.
Oh my gosh, I could not have seen that coming.
My mind is melted.
That was, these are all hard to watch games drop off of the bracket here, but those 4 games were great, and seeing them leave is always hard, rarely harder than this was.
All we can say is it's going to get harder as the days go on.
True that. That's all for today, but we'll see you right back here this Friday. Until then, I'm Rob Huber, and
I'm Brendan Riley,
and this has been Game Fight Shows.
Game Fight Show.
March Mayhem Tournament. See you Friday. Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.